All right, everybody, we're going to do some more math practice packet pages. We're going to be doing pages 18, 19, and 20, and all three of those pages have to do with multiplying with decimals. So, before we do that, we've done a ladybug, we've done a frog. Today we're going to do a bird. This bird starts with the letter Z. Now that I have my letter Z, I'm going to come to this bottom corner of the Z, and I'm going to just extend it out a little bit. I'm going to come to this point of the Z, just go a little bit above it. I'm going to put a dot. I'm going to do the same over here. I'm going to take this, I'm going to extend a little bit and put a dot there. The reason why I did that is to help me create my new lines. I'm going to take this dot and extend it down to here. And I'm going to come over to this dot. Now from this part of the Z, I'm going to come up to right there. Okay. I'm going to make a round head, put in a beak, and give an eyeball. That's right, we're making a bird. Now you can always come in and smooth out these lines so it doesn't have to be as sharp now that you know what the object is. Now we can round it out down here. We can round out his belly. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to do another little piece of the bird here. Got the tail feather. And we're going to give him a little foot. Well, he kind of just looks strange just strutting with his foot out, so we're going to put him on a branch. I like drawing tree branches because it's really just kind of squiggles and you can have fun making little branch pieces and making it sit there. And you might decide you want a smaller bird, and that's okay too. Okay, but here is our little birdie. Again, I'd love to see your drawings, so please pass them on to me. All right. Now into the multiplication. All right, so we've been doing multiplying of whole numbers, and we've been doing that in two ways. We've been doing lattice, because I have a lot of my class that likes lattice, and the regular standard algorithm. So if we have 2 and 7/10 times 3, we are going to, in the standard algorithm, do 3 times 7, 21, and 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. Okay, so if I had thought of this as 27 times 3, it would be the number 81. But it's not 27, it's 2 and 7/10. So I now have to look. I have one number that's after my decimal. My answer needs one number after the decimal. So if I put it here, the number 1 is the only number after it. It's one number, or one digit. Okay, and of course we can always do this using lattice. 3 times 7 is 21, 3 times 2 is 6. In this step, cross out my factors. In this diagonal I have 1, this one I have 8. So I would write from left to right, 81. But now the last step of this is to still go back to the original problem and count how many digits are after the decimal. so that way I can place in my answer. Okay, I'm going to use a double digit and a double digit. And I'll do it again both ways. Let's do 3 7/7 times 17. So I have it set up for lattice, I have it set up for the standard algorithm. I'm going to use this problem to show you quite a few ways. Okay, so we're going to start with this. Now I always tell my students when we were doing multiplication, they always say that the bigger number goes on top. And I try to tell them it's not always the bigger number, it's the number that has the most digits. Because if you notice, we have 3 7/10. 3 7/10 is not larger than the number 17. So it's not that the largest value number goes on top, it's the most digits. What I mean by that is if I had 428 times 12, it's easier to do it this way than to put the 12 on top and do times 428. Okay. All right, so let's continue. 7 times 7 is 49. Okay, 7 times 7, 49. 7 times 3 is 21. So plus the 4 is 25. 7 times 3 is 21. I'm just trying to show you how they kind of correlate with each other. I'm done with this number. I'm done with the space. My second number is going to go in my start in my second space. 1 times 7 is 7. 1 times 7 is 7. And 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 3 is 3. I'm going to add them together. 9, 5 and 7 is 12. 5 and 1 is 6. Over here, I go to my diagonals. I have 9. 7 and 4 is 11, plus 1 is 12. 3, 2, 1 is 6. So we still have 6, 2, 9. But our answer is not done. We are not at 629. We have one number after the decimal, or one digit after the decimal. So my answer has to have one digit after the decimal. If I put my decimal here, there are 1, 2, 3 digits. That's not going to work. We need 1. So we need to put our decimal right here to have one digit after the decimal. And the same with over here. Now I'm actually not going to change or do any other new math. I'm just going to change the numbers that we started with, which will then change my answer. But I won't have to do any math to follow. I am going to get rid of my lattice. And I'm going to talk about this one. If I had no decimal and I had 37 times 17, it would be 629 as my product. But if I had 37 hundredths times 17, what would my final answer be? Well, the math doesn't change. That all stayed the same. The only thing that's changing now is I have 1, 2 digits after my decimal point. So in my answer, I need 1, 2 digits to be after that decimal point. So it's 6 and 29 hundredths. All right, again, I'm going to change this so I have a new answer, a new product. By changing my problem without changing the digits. I'm now going to put a decimal here and a decimal here. So now I have 3 and 7/10 times 1 and 7/10. I have one digit after the decimal, and I have another digit after the decimal over here. So in total, I have two numbers after the decimal. Two numbers after the decimal. Well, let's think about this. That's a tenth, and that's a tenth, and you're multiplying together. 10 times 10 is 100. So a tenth times a tenth would be 100th. Okay. So now again, I can change my question by doing 3 7/10 times 17/100ths. I have one number after the decimal up here. I have two digits after the decimal here. So if there's one after the decimal on this one, and there are two after the decimal on this one, in total we have 3 after the decimal. So I need my decimal in front of the 6. So I have 1, 2, 3 digits after my decimal. And since we're starting with a decimal, it's always good to put in your 0. So that way people don't have to question, is that a decimal there? Did their pencil just hit the paper or something? Is it a stray mark? They'll know that you wanted that to be a decimal if you have that 0, because you're showing that there is no hole and that you just have a part of something. All right, so that information will help you do those next 3 pages in your practice packet. All right, see you soon.